I'll read you guys it's very, very short, the scene that I actually based my scene off of. Mother packed an equally large suitcase for Jonas. It dwarfed his small, thin frame, and he had to carry it with both hands, bending backward to lift it off the floor. He didn't complain of the weight or ask for help. The sound of breaking glass and china wailed through the house in quick intervals. We found our mother in the dining room, smashing all of her best crystal and china on the floor. Her face glistened with sweat, and her golden ringlets fell loose over her eyes. "Mama, no!" cried Jonas, running toward the broken shards that littered the floor. I pulled him back before he could touch the glass. "Mother, why are you breaking your beautiful things?" I asked. She stopped and stared at the china cup in her hand. "Because I love them so much." She threw the cup to the floor, not even pausing to see it break before reaching for another. Jonas began to cry. "Don't cry, darling. We'll get much nicer things." The door burst open and 3 NKVD officers entered our house, carrying rifles with bayonets. "What happened here?" demanded the tall officer, surveying the damage. "It was an accident," Mother replied calmly. "You have destroyed Soviet property," he bellowed. Jonas pulled his suitcase close, fearful that in any minute it too might become Soviet property. Mother looked in the foyer mirror to fix her loose curls and put on her hat. The NKVD officer slammed her in the shoulder with the butt of his rifle, throwing her face first into the mirror. "Bourgeois pigs, always wasting time. You won't need that hat," he scoffed. Mother righted and steadied herself, smoothing her skirt and adjusting her hat. "Pardon me," she said flatly to the officer before fixing her curls again and sliding her pearl hat pin into place. "Pardon me? Is that really what she said? These men burst into our homes at night, slam her into the mirror, and she asks them to pardon her?" Then she reached for it, the long gray coat, and suddenly I understood. She was playing the Soviet officers like a careful hand of cards, not quite sure what might be dealt next. I saw her in my mind sewing jewelry, papers, silver, and other valuables into the coat under the lining. "I have to use the bathroom," I announced, trying to divert the attention from my mother and the coat. "You have 30 seconds. I shut the door and caught sight of my face in the mirror. I had no idea how quickly it was to change, to fade. If I had, I would have stared at my reflection, memorizing it. It was the last time I would look into a real mirror for more than a decade. And these are my 10 books that I chose. My top 10. Leave It to Abigail by Bard Rosenstock. Players in Pigtails by Shanna Corey. Mike Mulligan and His Steam Shovel by Virginia Lee Burton. Seaman's Journey, written and illustrated by Patricia Reeder Eubank. The Noisy Paint Box by Bard Rosenstock and illustrated by Mary Grand Prix. When Jesse Came Across the Sea by Amy Hest. Locomotive by Brian Flocka. John Deere, That's Who by Tracy Nelson Maurer. Molly Banachie by Alice McGill. And Abe Lincoln, Boy Who Loved Books by Kay Winters. So I chose these books because they are all based on people or events that actually happened in history. The events and people featured helped change the face of the United States and the world. And they are lesser known, well, not Abe Lincoln as much, but they are lesser known people or historical events. And I thought that just went really well with my book because not a lot of people know all that actually happened in the USSR. this actually, I was so excited when I got to do this book because this is my family's story. My Opa was sent to Siberia as a boy with his mom and brothers by the Russian Tsar, and then again after the Tsar was overthrown, or well, his family was actually murdered, he was sent again as a young man to Siberia. And I can attest that everything, like how they were treated, how they were transported to Siberia, how she depicted it actually happened. It's what happened to my Opa. So yeah, just it's a good read. It's a hard read, but I appreciate that she's telling these stories because not a lot of people know them.